All right, and we're live.
Welcome, everyone. I am Trusted with Radical Transformation with T, creator of Centrally Empowered Woman and Transformative Conversations and Solutions. Today, I want to thank you for coming because welcome to the year of the orgasm, a bold and unapologetic celebration of women full awakening. And today, we're not just going to honor pleasure, but we're going to honor the masculine energy that men bring to our lives. Our fathers, our brothers, our sisters, our uncles, our cousins. We want to honor them, and we also want to honor the men today that decided to show up for us. So, with that being said, I would like to get started and ask each one of you to introduce yourself. No specific order.
So I am. Everyone can hear me, correct? All right. So
I
I
can
am.
hear you.
I am James, known as the Ascension Coach. I help people connect with higher states of consciousness, align with their higher self, and discover their soul's purpose. And I'm in the middle of creating something with my divine feminine that speaks to, you know, bringing that union together. So that's who I am.
Hello, everybody. I'm Visha, and I'm an energetic body worker and a space holder and a great listener. And I'm here to share with you whatever comes to me concerning masculinity and holding space for the divine feminine, women in general. Thank you.
She's typing. Ruben, you want to introduce yourself?
Can you hear me? Can you guys hear?
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
hear you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Ruben. I'm husband, 17 years, just celebrating my 17-year anniversary with my wife on the 18th of June. Father of 4 children. I pretty much do some of everything coaching, from men's coaching, relationship coaching, medium, truck driving. I'm also going to school full time. So on today, I am going to share my experience with the divine feminine and whatever else comes to mind to make this session go as smooth as possible and bring some clarity and make this the best safe space as possible.
Thank you, because it is men like yourself that support us in having a sensual and spiritual evolution. And I do believe that. I believe that it's part of the divine, the masculine helps us women to have that evolution in our own walk and in our own journey. So let's get started with some of these questions, because one of the things that I do understand about the divine masculine is he doesn't try to dominate the divine feminine. He's very much a sacred support. So there's two questions that I want each of you to think about, and we're gonna go pretty much with the free flow. But there's two questions I would like each one of you to think about. Was there a masculine figure in your life um, that maybe put you on this journey? And even if it wasn't, when did you know at some point, even if you didn't fully understand it, that this was the road that you was to travel?
Great question. All right. So I'll go. For me, there wasn't, right. Like I can look back over my history with male figures and see that, yeah, there really wasn't any kind of direction for me. So there was a lot of stumbling and picking back myself back up and learning on the go. And I had to be honest, Tress, it really hasn't been that long, maybe within the last year or so, when I determined that my mission is going to be the most important thing. And also that I'm not going to settle for anything less than being seen or treated as the king that I am, that I begin to realize that in that frame, I'm making space for a beautiful divine feminine to come in there. And with that understanding, is that I'm not here to fix them, not here to change them, not here to look for them to be anything different, but to, as you kind of alluded to, create a container for them to, as you see in my post, be silly, be sad, be, just to be, and know that there's support, there's love that's always going to be there present as they evolve and grow as well. Hopefully that made sense.
No, that made sense. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to let each of the men, because one of the things I want to say to the audience, that if you have a question and you were part of Centrally Empowered Woman, you received a link here that you could actually post the question. If you're on Facebook, we'll try to reach out and we'll try to pay attention. Um, but let's go. But yeah, I just wanted the women, if they have any questions, they can ask. But no, that makes a lot of sense. So thank you for sharing. Vishu or Ruben, anyone want to tell me, like, for you, was there any moment, was there a man in your life, or was there any particular moment you had an aha moment, this is it, this is where path I'm gonna take?
Yeah. So for me, I didn't have one growing up, but there was actually one individual that inspired me to really step my game up. His name is Eric Thomas, and Eric Thomas is like a motivational. He's a motivational speaker, and he talked a lot about his marriage. He talked about his children, and a lot of what this man has shared as far as his testimony, I can relate to. He talked about how growing up having a poor lifestyle. He talked about his condition with his wife, and this is something that I share with a lot of people myself. And looking at Eric Thomas and a lot of the stuff that he talks about and what he does, it inspired me to really step into the man that I want to become. Not only just becoming a man of purpose, but how it relates to making that shift for my marriage and my children. So he got into this big thing about talking about unlearning survival masculinity, right? He talked about how transforming like his pain into pleasures and learning to honor the honor his masculinity, but also in a space where he can make his wife feel more safe. Make her feel accepting of him as a leader, not as controlling, but to make her feel safe to where she can put down her sword. And it taught me a lot as far as some of the things that I needed to change. And one of the biggest things that I had trouble with was learning to open up, talk about how I felt, being more assertive and dealing with my past relationship, like with my dad, and dealing with narcissistic behavior that my dad had displayed over the years as a child. So, in doing a lot of that work, it helped me to, not sabotage my relationship with my wife and children, be more open to hearing rather than just talking. So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah,
No, that makes sense.
yeah. So
And so we go ahead, I'm so
go ahead.
sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. It's okay.
No, you can finish.
Oh no, I was just gonna say just to end that Eric Thomas is like one of my top motivational speakers that I listen to every day.
Okay, well, we all need that one. So, because, and if I know that I asked the question, well, I'll come back to this. I'll come back to the question. I want to hear Vishu. Was there anything in your, there a male or anything particular that you knew all of a sudden, hey, this is it. This is where my path.
In my life, I had several male figures, and they all showed me something different. I had my father who showed me how we were supposed to work and take care of the family. I had my uncle who was a player and showed me how to interact with women on a lot of different levels. And then I had training from trial and error. And then I met Nityama, and he slowed me down. And he said, just be present, be who you are, create a safe environment at all times. You don't reach, you radiate, and you will draw those who are meant to come to you. And you will share, and you will teach, and you will hold space for every woman on this planet whether she knows you or not. And then he introduced me to the mother. And that's when she started to speak to me on a whole nother level. So I'm not real good with words, but I can just hold space and make a woman feel safe to be who she is so that she can be present, so that she can not be afraid of her own masculinity. And that's how I learned trial and error and some different types of figures. And I learned from women too.
Wow. So this is beautiful because each one of you had a different experience how you came to it. But also, as I listen to you, the you're learning from women, you're learning from men. So I want to ask a question because I asked you, was there any men in your life that maybe had given you? So this is about the connection. So women, because one of the things you all have talked about is women feeling safe, women feeling like they can lean into you, they can be whoever they are. Like all of you in some part of way said, hey, you know, um, so was there anything around moms? Because I would love to find out if there was anything around the relationship with your mother that maybe also impacted you in a way that said, hey, um, something, because everything affects us. So, anybody want to answer that question?
Yeah. When it came to mom, uh, I didn't really like how she went through so much unnecessary stuff. I saw my mom get hit. I saw my mom get mistreated, but I saw my mom always be strong. And my mother was always there for me, and she was giving me game by the boatload. And she wasn't just telling me to be nice to all the ladies in the world. She was telling me to vet the ladies who come to me and let the ladies that are drawn to me, that deserve my respect, and that could appreciate who it is that I am. And that's what my mother always preached to me. So she was a very powerful figure in my life. Yeah,
And you feel
real
like
strong.
this impacted you. I mean, this probably, even if you didn't know it then, is part of the reason why you do the work that you do.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. And then there was at one point when she told me, son, you got to slow down. And this was right before she passed. She told me I had to slow down, and focus on myself and bring balance between the feminine and the masculine within me. So yeah, she she made me tap in and slow my roll.
Okay, okay. If do either Ruben or James, do y'all want to answer the question? If not, we can move on to another question.
Happy. I actually have several motherly figures that I've come across that have brought me to a new level or a new stage in my life that brought me to the man I am today. First and foremost, my mother. I'm just grateful that she did the best she could. You know, it wasn't always love and light with my mom. A lot of my trauma, a lot of what I dealt with, as far as what needed to take place is healing. A lot of those troubles came, you know, back in the day living with my mom, from physical abuse, mental abuse, uh, you know, those that level of it. But I'm just leaving right there. But as I got older, I ran into a friend of mine, and her mom. She basically gave me the game on how to respond to my parents because I was overthrown with anger, resentment, bitterness, and I felt like life was just meaningless for me. And my response to whenever I come in conversations with my mom or my dad, it never goes the way that I would expect it to. Either I was dismissed or rejected for whatever I was feeling, or it was just something that was more important that kind of just looked over what my situation was as far as the help and the guidance that I needed from my mom and dad. So she taught me how to respond to that. She taught me how to, learn to let go. And she was very like thorough with it. So she didn't hold punches. And as I got older, making the decision to go to trucking, she inspired me to, jump onto that. I ended up, meeting my wife, Sonia. And a lot of the hurt that I dealt with from my past is what I brought into this relationship right before we got married. So yeah, I was a head case, at the beginning stage of my marriage with my wife, and my wife began to share a lot of her experiences, what she dealt with in her last marriage, her relationship with her dad. And as we spoke before, she mentioned to me the type of man that I am and how I treat her. My daughters will end up running into men like that when they get older,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what opened my eyes to work on making this change. So further along, I ended up joining the Magic Mystic. And M Rain, a lot of you know her. She pretty much helped me put a lot of pieces together as far as spirituality and how to do the healing work that was like necessary to heal in all of these areas that I was having these mind battles and these spiritual battles with. So her teachings helped me to pretty much connect the dots in a lot of this. And from that point on, I just learned to just operate and move in the blueprint that I created for myself off of what I've learned from these different women. And it helped me to become the man that I am today.
Okay, thank you. And James, did you say yes? You wanted to answer that question?
Yeah, and I'll just make mine brief. When growing up, my mother leaned more to her divine masculine when probably I needed her to be more into her divine feminine. But as she has evolved, she's now more in her divine feminine. But the twist to that was I was always attracting women that mirrored that upbringing, and now how she is in her divine feminine, it's in our relationship. She's like my BFF in a lot of ways, my biggest supporter. But now I'm seeing what it looks like to now attract that type of woman where she's now in her divine feminine. If that makes sense to you.
No, that makes sense. And so I'm going to ask you all a question because one of our listeners, she posted a question. I want to get to her question too, but here's what I want to ask you all because when I started, I don't know that I didn't know a lot about divine masculine and feminine. And I took a sacred sexuality workshop, and then that's kind of where my journey started. Um, but it's taken me a couple years to realize how that I understand that the masculine and the feminine can mean different things to different people, and it's all of those things. But it's like we all take a piece of the cake, and we get what we need from it. For me, my masculine energy, when I think about the balance, was um, I think of the energetic part. Although I know it's also physical, because for me, so within, so without. And I finally had to admit, because you kind of like talk about your mom, like she was in her masculine a lot,
Yeah.
but I was in my feminine a lot. But, and even to that is levels. And so I was in the part of my feminine that didn't, I leaned so heavily into it, I didn't trust my masculine energy, which means structure,
Hmm.
boundaries.
Hmm.
I had none of that. I didn't allow that part of me. Like I said, it's also physical and it's also spiritual. So the spiritual part of me, the part of me that knew to trust myself that I could have what I say I could have. If I say I was going to do something, keep my word and go out and do it. Kind of like being married. I got a masculine and a feminine. We both married to each other, a yin and a yang. But I didn't have, um, but I wasn't committed. I was not trusting that part of myself. So I often got walked on. And I often made decisions that was not in my best interest. And I also was often moving in a space of fear, so that the masculine, I'm talking about now, not the man outside of me, but inside of me, the masculine wasn't able to um, set the stage, to bring what needed to be brought to me, to make shit happen, as they say, to get, you know what, I hope I'm making sense to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah.
because of that, I often took a lot, and So I'm gonna ask each one of you, what does the divine feminine and masculine mean for you in your connection with it?
Okay, so I'll go. For me, it represents wholeness within myself. I as an ascension coach, I'm in that spiritual space. So I always look at this physical expression of myself and my partner as just that, a physical expression of my union within myself, right? And how my relationship is with my divine feminine is how my relationship is with myself, right? And I can step into any role. At times, she may need to experience my divine feminine. At times, she may need to experience my divine masculine. But having that wholeness, there's no imbalance there, right? So there's just a steady. And I don't believe you can truly hold the frame of being divine masculine unless you are in tune with your divine feminine, and there's balance there. Otherwise, you're going to be leaning more toward one side than the other, and that's a recipe for disaster, as far as I'm concerned.
No, this is good. This is good because what you just said is kind of, you gave me feedback or you mirrored back what I said in my own experience.
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
I was all in the feminine, and I, so as women we do want to have that soft side, but also there's a part of us that needs to say, hey, we need to let our masculine energy, and like you said, then there's some women that go so far they don't know how to nurture. They know how to go get and
Yeah.
drive, but they don't know how to have the balance. So I really appreciate that, being able to have that mirrored back to me. Welcome, Jason. Thank you for coming in. We're kind of we started off asking the question, and I'll give you a few minutes to answer this question, and then we're gonna kind of go forward. And was there any did you have a male figure in your life that maybe helped you to be at this place that you that influenced you? I'll say it like that. That influenced you, and um, did you know, or did something happen, or that you just had this, I know I'm gonna walk in the path of the divine feminine or the divine masculine, and I'm gonna own and support my woman or myself inside of me?
All right. Yeah, my mentor and my
Can't hear you,
father.
hon.
What about now?
A little better.
I can hear him.
Yeah, I can hear him.
I can hear him
You're
as well.
Can y'all hear me?
you're breaking up.
All right, can you hear me now, man?
Okay. Okay, now can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay.
All right, my experience is both with my father, and I had mentors. My father, through example, taught me how to be balanced with masculine and feminine energy through just his actions and how he spoke to me. My mother also reiterated these principles by how she addressed my father and seeing both of their interactions, especially when in conflict. And then also, I had mentors like my sensei, certain older gentlemen in my family, and just being very observant of how appropriate and effective relationships when people are balanced and accountable and responsible for how they emote and how they navigate through their emotions also helped me be able to be balanced and integrate the two principles within myself. And it's not a complete journey, it's a ever evolving journey because things consistently come to your awareness to improve as a human being and as a man on this journey of being and these other stages of being mentor, father, husband, leader, and improving to be a more effective leader throughout having these examples here with me, and then new examples and mentors coming into my life to aid me along my journey.
Okay, so this is beautiful. So it sounds like um, you had a lot of support in that area.
Yes.
Okay, all right then. And so someone asked, her name was Dolores. She's not in right now, but I'm gonna see if we can get one of the first questions, and then I'll go back. But I don't want to ignore our audience. She says, as we all have feminine and masculine energy, do you guys think it's important to honor a woman's masculine energy and let her honor your feminine energy to keep that in balance? If so, what are one or two ways that shows up in a relationship? That's a great question. I want to hear from each one of y'all. That's a great question. All right, now we cooking with grease.
Shit. Yeah.
Okay, do y'all need me to read it again? Or y'all good?
Uh, I'm gonna just go. I'm gonna go with it. Uh, I think it's important that we honor each other in a relationship, masculine, each other's masculine and feminine energy. But balance is the key there, because if her masculine energy gets out of check, then it's going to be counterproductive. As well, if my feminine energy gets out of check, it's going to be counterproductive. So of course we should honor it, but we should communicate and help each other stay balanced through communication to keep that balance maintained, so that it doesn't explode into I feel like I'm laying next to a man, or
Okay.
I'm interacting with a man. If she's burning up all of her water because she's being too left brain, or if I'm too nurturing and I'm not the shield and the protector and everything that she needs, then yes, it's definitely going to be out of balance and it's going to be difficult. Yes.
All right. Okay, that sounds good. And so I'm gonna let each one of you and so Vishnu, she asked what are two ways that shows up in a relationship? If you had a relationship, what would be two ways that it shows up for you? You did
Uh,
mention communication.
yes, it'll show up in the communication and how you interact with each other. But it'll show up in the bed too.
Okay, let's talk.
Yeah, it'll show up in the bed. She she may want to be dominant, may be too dominant, or you may be the male may be too passive. And once again, the whole lovemaking set is off balance, and the interacting and the energy there. You'll burn each other up or dry each other
Okay.
out. So yeah.
All right. Thank you. So Ruben, and James and Jason, I want to ask all of you the same question. I probably know the answer to it, that you do think it's appropriate for each of you to honor each other's masculine and each other's feminine. Um, but what two ways do you feel like it could show up in a relationship for you or maybe for someone else? Because understand, we may be a little bit familiar with these terms and different things, but when somebody else comes on, they may not be. And that's kind of why I keep asking. Plus, perspective, when I always kind of think of a mountain and everybody is standing on from a different part of the mountain on a different angle, they may see something different. And so I love to hear everybody's perspective, so when those who come behind us, everybody gets a chance to see themselves in the answers that we talk about. So who wants to go next?
Yeah, I never hesitate to go. Um, for for me, it shows up like this. My partner was already in tune with her divine masculine before I showed up, and I noticed instantly one of the things that attracted me to her was seeing that aspect to some degree where she was challenging me. I think I said something like, "How are you okay, sweetie?" What was that? What I asked you? I said, "Are you okay?" yeah, are you good at something? And she was like, well, why do you ask me that? Like, and I had to check myself because I was checked in that moment. I'll be honest with you, I was checked in that moment because I had to understand that I can't just go along with what I've done before and and trying to make it seem like I was this, you know, person. It was kind of, I think her argument was you're already all the way in Vegas. Like if something wasn't right with me, like what would you what the fuck could you do about it? Right? And so
Right, right, right.
yeah, and so I knew I was with somebody different in that moment, right? But that was the first moment that I knew, okay, she's connected with her divine masculine. And the way it shows up now for us is that I understand that there's some things that she knows that I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
that to some degree I gotta submit to that, right? I can't go, well, I'm the man. I'm no, I gotta submit to that and be in my divine feminine. If she sees something or wants to do something that's going to help elevate us,
Mm-hmm.
that I gotta be the follower in those situations, right? But there are other areas as well where I'm very much the leader, very much the one that's going to make sure everything is okay, make sure she's okay. And yeah, my friend, well, my brother Visha talked about in the bedroom, and that's one of the areas as well, right? Like, but it's understanding that yeah, when it's her strength, I gotta lean to that. I
Ooh,
gotta
I
I gotta
love
give
that.
her that platform. But if it's my strength, I gotta step in there and be fully me in that space.
Ooh, I love that. I love that because I think sometimes, so when I say men, I'm also gonna say women. So it's not gonna. I feel sometimes men feel like if a woman tells them something, it like a woman shouldn't be able to tell them. There, we got these things, especially for I put these right there. Let me like the men's supposed to be the leader of the house, and all, you know what I'm saying, um and you got all these women talking about that their man's supposed to lead, but sometimes a woman may know a little bit, may know a different way. I don't mean necessarily know more,
Yeah.
just a different way that might work out better. And I appreciate that's the dynamic that you and your lady have, that she's willing to follow and you willing to allow her to lead as well. So there is the balance. And that's the most important thing. I think when we start talking about the divine masculine and feminine, in order to be healthy, they definitely have to have balance. Today you might give 60% and she 40, and tomorrow she might give 90 and you 10, but you hold each other up. Um, I should have had a pen because some questions keep coming up. As if y'all see me looking down, it's because I'm kind of typing in my phone real quick because these are questions that might come back to me later. I want to ask. Okay, Ruben and Jason, either one of you want to answer? You know, do you feel like it's important for you to acknowledge your wife or your, yeah, because both of y'all are married, your wife's feminine, and ask her to, and she honors your masculine, and at the same time, or opposite, you honor her masculine and she honors your feminine. And what's two ways y'all do this?
Okay. Yeah, most definitely. That is very important. And actually like mirror, if I may say so. And the reason why I say that is because we have this thing where we're not just a teacher and we're not just a student. We're both. So sometimes I have to flip that seat and become a student and she's the teacher.
Oh, I love how
And
you
it's
put it
vice
like that.
versa. Yeah, so it's vice versa. And one thing about us, when we first got together, both of us were go getters. We work long hours. We know how important it is you know, to be sustained when it comes to finances. She had already had children, so there were certain experiences that she had already been through that I hadn't encountered yet or come to know yet. So
Okay.
that's in the beginning. That's where she was more of the teacher in our relationship. She already knew that I was about leadership, but my issue with leadership, it was just so going off of how the Bible would talk about leadership. I wasn't leading with clarity, but it was more like control. And that's where me and my wife clashed a lot. So I had to learn to lead with clarity and not control. And whenever I have like visions or whenever we sit down and talk about something, she would like to be included. And in doing so, it taught me to open up to being more in tune with how she feels and how she's able to pick up, how she's able to contribute, and it was vice versa. So that was something that we just continue to repeat and follow up with each other. And communication, that's one of the biggest things that we talk about almost every day is communication. And whatever I'm picking up, she's putting down, or whatever I'm putting down, she's picking up. And it's just become this thing where we're just switching places constantly. And it works for us.
This is beautiful. Right. I love it because we have so many young men coming up and even older men, like just that have this idea that I'm the man and you should do what I say do. And that's not working. It's probably never worked. It's never worked, but that's what they were taught. And in some cases, honestly, that's what women were taught. Women, there is probably as many women as there are men with the same thing of I gotta listen to what he's saying. He's gotta lead, and I shouldn't have any say so because the Bible says he's the man. Um, so I love how we're talking about balance today. We're talking about the balance. If they're gonna be married, there's gonna have to be some balance. There's gonna have to be some respect. And I'm talking about now the divine feminine and masculine, even within ourselves. Like I said, I was honest here. Um, my feminine was ruling so much. And that didn't always mean that I acted feminine. I'm talking about with the feminine energy, it was like I just didn't trust my masculine. I didn't trust that I could, if I wanted a promotion, I didn't trust that I could, that side of me, the side that's the go-getter, the side that stands up to other people, other things, the side that made the feminine feel safe. I did not have a connection to that. And so when I started coming into doing this work, um, that's the part of myself that I realized was missing. And it took me a minute because even as I start realizing that, sometimes I was going either too far to the left or too far to the right, trying to get the balance of how to honor that. Because, so let me listen to, okay, Jason, I want to hear from you and then I want to ask you all. Ruben, you said something that makes me want to ask another question. So, Jason, do you feel like it's necessary, very important to honor the masculine and feminine in each one, you and your wife and she and you? And what's two ways that you two do this?
I think for one that
I can't hear you. I think
I
you're
think
on
I
mute.
no, I'm off of you.
Okay.
I think for one we all have to define things clearly. Um, what are the principles of masculinity and what are the principles of femininity? And then we all have a basis of understanding of how these things can be effectively displayed. And there's tangible things and there's intangible things of honoring the differences in the two that will help promote a healthy relationship. And it's not necessarily about examples of leadership or examples of control or things of that nature. It's more less about balance. Because through the whole exchange of our marriage, it's been different aspects of us relearning things in which that we were told or things that we saw that were faulty, old examples that were expressed in a very toxic way. Because we got to be honest, in our culture, especially if anybody from born in the 80s that is an adult that's married with kids now can clearly understand and see if they're willing to see the troubles with our communication and our relationships within our families. We're all a microcosm of the experiences that our families have um, modeled for us, and we'll express that in a variety of different ways, whether we want to accept it or not, be aware with it or not. And Even like just something as simple as cooking dinner. Everybody got to eat.
Yes.
That's neither masculine or feminine, but your actions and how that you present yourself while you're performing acts of service can detail whether those descriptors can fit. A hygiene, helping out your children or your spouse with hygiene. Service is neither masculine or feminine, but it's how you present yourself with those different intricate attributes that will display those characteristics that will define whether it's balanced masculine or balanced feminine. Because I think in this new era, how we talk about masculinity, since the word toxicity has been affixed to it, when you define masculinity, it's not toxic, it's balanced. Just like when you define right femininity, it's not toxic, it's balanced. But because of the things that we are consistently witnessing and seeing, we cannot trick our eyes into truth because our minds have already been programmed to deception. And it's another example of how honoring the two things within your relationship as in a married couple is very important. I understood a long time ago, way before I was married, when I become a father and a husband, everything that I do is supposed to happen in a trajectory for 6, 7, 8 generations because of the standards of my father and my mother set before me. Same with my grandparents. If I'm selfish in my consistent inconsistencies to improve on the things that I need to, so there's no weakness in my blood lineage, future tense, then anything that I try to mirror, imitate, or mimic that may seem for have the appearance of balance is going to be imbalanced anyway. I have to be honest with the pains and the brokenness within myself. So therefore, I will be able to magnetize and attract the right woman because I'll be able to recognize those characteristics that I see in my wife. And that is how we honor the duality within ourselves by being honest, by being accountable, by being attentive to each other's needs and each other's roles, and understanding that within those roles, we have duties that we have to carry out that will honor us now in our lineage prior to.
Thank you. And also, I do want you men to know that if you want to speak on anything either one of you all say, feel welcome. Feel free to do so. Um, I know that one of the things it's a little hard to hear on my everybody can hear him, but I think I should have turned my computer up a little bit. I realized before I got on, but one of the things I did hear Jason say, these things about roles. At least that's how I internalize it. These gender things. A man don't do this and a woman don't do that. But when you have a connection with the divine feminine and masculine, usually those type of things go out the window. It's about honoring and supporting each other so that you can have the best possible experience with each other. Would y'all say that that's true? Um, we have another question here. How does the feminine and masculine energy affect thought process in situations? Are there times when you lean into one more than the other, depending upon a choice you may need to make?
Okay, so here I go. So yeah,
I
just
know. Okay, come on, y'all.
yeah,
Come on
no,
with it.
no, I'm
Don't
just
be shy, nobody. I want y'all to, come on. We all want to hear it.
when it comes to having the hard conversation and more so being unapologetic in a sense of this needs to be discussed or this needs to be pointed out. Um, it plays its part there, and I feel like I just lost the question for a moment. So
I'll
remind me
give
what's
it
the
to you.
question again?
Hold on, I'll give it to
Yeah.
you. It says,
Okay.
how does the feminine and masculine energy affect thought process? In
Yeah. Yes.
situations. Are there times
Yeah.
when you
So if I,
lean more into one? Go
yeah,
ahead.
when it comes to having hard conversations or that I got to lean to very much to my divine masculine. However, at the same time, my thought process can be, okay, I need to use wisdom right now. This may not be the right time to have the hard conversation or to speak that direct truth. So at times I'm weighing those of, okay, I need to lean in, but then other times my thought process, I need to lean out for a moment and wait for that right opportunity. So hopefully I'm thinking that's in alignment with what was the question.
Okay, Dolores, is this so Dolores, could you please tell us if this is the question that you're interested in? And then Tasha, could you please put Bianca and TLP's transforms live question in here so I can ask the gentleman. Okay, gentlemen, the questions are starting to come. Um, do you, Ruben, Jason, or Vishu want to answer this question? If you don't want to, just feel free. I just want you to be comfortable. Whatever questions, you all can ask them all, or one or two. Okay. So one I want to finish this one and then we're gonna do Bianca's question. So it says, how do you feel any of the other gentlemen here, or how does the masculine and feminine energy affect thought process situations? In your experience, like I said, everybody don't have to answer all the questions if you don't want to, but if you do have something, we all want to hear it.
Okay, the question in entirety. Yes.
Okay, so do we need to go past
Masculine.
to the next question?
No, we can answer this question. I'm about to answer the question now.
Muted. My mic was muted. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, now I can.
Can
Okay,
you
Go
hear
so
ahead,
for
me?
Ruben.
me, masculine, because then the reason why I say that is because leadership, for the most part, I've always had this mindset where I have to figure things out as far as whatever hardship or whatever struggle, with finances. So in most cases, I've always jumped into my masculine, energy when it comes to having these hard conversations, especially with my wife. And in some of those, like, yeah, I do tend to lean in on divine feminine, uh, as far as, being more open to what's real rather than just going off of my own thought process. Because when I talk about my wife and I introduce, our situation or the problems that we've encountered, I put it to more of a team effort. And hopefully I'm answering that question.
You did. That's beautiful. I mean,
And
so
yeah, that's where I look at a lot of, when I come in about balance, that that masculine side, that's more so me stepping in on that when it comes to leadership. But I have to also use wisdom, what I'm saying, and think about what we're really talking about, what we're discussing, what we're going through. So yes, I do have to lean in.
this is interesting because I swear, when I was listening to you initially, I thought you was gonna say, and I have to come into my masculine. And I love it when you said I had to come into my feminine, basically because you had to lean in and like be open to the conversation, not like this is gonna go my way, but and I
Right.
love how you put it because then this gives the audience out there to understand. Some, again, I don't think they all fully understand what the divine masculine is, but here you all are giving them examples and a picture of what this could look like. It's not this big woo woo that's so far out. It's something that really is an everyday lifestyle when we take it on that we can embody. Jason, I think you asked me, could we hear you? And I didn't hear you say it until Ruben started talking. Would you like to come back on?
Yeah. The question was, how does feminine and masculine energy affect processes in situations? Are
Yes.
there times when you lean into one more than the other, depending on a choice you may need to make? Another aspect of masculinity is being decisive. If I am using the attributes of masculinity, I am going to be decisive, and regardless of what happens of said circumstance, I'm standing on my decision. And it will also makes me accountable for whatever ramifications occur. The only time I am leaning onto my femininity is when I'm being creative. In a choice, making decisions doesn't require me to be creative. It requires me to be accountable and to be decisive and to execute. If I'm being creative, then that's when too much of um, perspective, any wrong emotional thought will take over my decision making. And that's usually based in being selfish. In the course of my lifetime and decisions that now I have to make, I no longer can afford to be selfish when I have so many other things that I have to build and be responsible for when it comes to the present and future.
Thank you. Tasha, could you tell me what Bianca's question was? Because we have two from TLP and I want to get Bianca's in real quick. Can you come on and tell us what her question was? And then I think TLP had two, and I just want you to um keep up with the questions because I can't, since they're not in the chat, it's a little bit hard. Um, okay, gentlemen, we had three questions pop up, and so it's been a little challenging for me to keep up when I'm listening. So Tasha's been doing a great job. Okay, so Bianca, Bianca had two questions, but I don't remember the other one. So Tasha, if you could post it here. But right now, Bianca said, James, was there a particular event in your life that happened in your life a year ago that pushed you into this shift?
Yeah, it was kind of being finally aware that um, my relationship with my divine feminine in me was was kind of leaning more toward that than really embodying my masculine, right? And so I was the nice, probably still the nice guy at that time, as opposed to I think it was maybe Jason talked about standing in my truth, and there was a particular relationship that I was in that I was just so accommodating, just always so accommodating, and just came to the realization that wait, this shit ain't working out. Like, right, like I need to just focus on me and what I want. I need to focus on my truth, right? Instead of trying to, coddle or trying to make this person see in me what I'm not embodying, right? And so that was the shift for me. It was a relationship that, well, it wasn't so much a relationship. We were kind of getting to know each other that I thought may become more, but it was just, I was just so accommodating. I was just so freaking accommodating. And it was like, this needs to stop. This needs to stop. And that kind of set me on the journey that I'm on now. And the shift was created at that time.
Oh, that's beautiful. And listening to what you said and part of what Jason said about being decisive. And that's kind of where I am now. In my own relationship with my masculine, trying to trust it, to let it be decisive, because you know it's we can emasculate a man, and I tell people now, I realize I feel like I've emasculated my masculine. I'm talking about the masculine within me. I'm not, which probably didn't make it much better for the men outside of me, but um so that energetic, standing on that, like, yeah, making a decision and sticking to it, trusting myself that if I want this, I can go out and get it, not have to always thinking somebody has more power than I have within my own self. So what Jason said and then what you said made me think about that. um Let's see. Bianca asked a question about, Tasha, can you give me a question, please? Bianca asked a question about to you. Ruben, and then TLP asked 2 questions, and I'm trying to see what they are. So I'm sorry. What I'll try to do is when I see the questions pop up, I'll put them over here beside myself and try to type them real quick because they're popping up off the screen. Um, Tasha, we answered that one. So I'm gonna ask the question, and let's just see if we can get some of the other questions back up here. So let's talk about. There was a question. I don't know if I want to say. Okay, Ruben, Bianca says, since I've been in class with Ruben, can he share how his wife shared the path of spirituality with him? Because you kind of mentioned that spirituality was something that which the relationship with your wife and you and spirituality also was very purposeful in how you are now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah,
Thanks, Tasha.
you brought that up. I've spoken about this. Before I got into spirituality, as far as what I know now and where I am, my wife and I, we were struggling with religion at the time, and we had just moved to San Antonio. And what I come to know is that she ended up running into Imran, and she had certain books that she was reading that struck my curiosity. And we had a conversation. Almost ended our marriage because I was unsure about where we was going to go with this because her path began to shift, and I was still, in the Christian circle, you the Bible. I've come being from coming from being I was under some strict rules, in that time, and she got to the point where she was just like, something's not right. I feel like there's more to this, and he began to like address walking up power. She got power back, and mind the way I was thinking at the time, I'm like, what power do you feel robbed of? I didn't understand where she was going with it, so it felt coming along. She got to talking about what she was talking about, so I was confused as hell. I'm just sitting here thinking, well, if you feel like you're going to leave because I want to go this route and you want to go that route, that's cool, but she laid it to me flat. She said she would never do anything to jeopardize my life, our relationship, or my relationship with kids, our relationship with kids. And it struck me hard, and I was just clueless. I was lost as to where this conversation was going. So she told me, she said that she's not going to get in my way. She's not going to stop me. But I'm free to look into this and know it for myself. And one thing about that conversation, everything that she was saying, it was something scripture or biblical that was coming up. And some of those sayings were like, practice what you preach and study to show thyself approved. Those scriptures began to pop up. So she was making sense with what she was saying because of how I was following, what I got from the Bible. So in that moment, I knew that I had to make a decision. Either I'm gonna research and know this for myself and stop fearing it, or this is gonna cause us to separate. And I'm a family man. I love family. So to get past that fear, I'm gonna look into this and see what this stuff means. And the very first book that I picked up, it had a skull on the front of it with two like little railroad screws. And I'm sitting here sweating bullets thinking about this book. Like, I don't want to go to hell for nobody, So I picked up this book and I got to reading, what this book was given. And it was a lot of knowledge about hoodoo. It was talking about home remedies and stuff like that. So I'm like, wait a minute. This is some stuff that the church needs to be talking about because it was talking about healing. And I brought it to attention. I said, like, look, do you believe like this is what this is? Because the way that it's being displayed, like, I was kind of nervous to get into it, but never judge a book by its cover was something that was coming, to mind again. So she was like, just keep researching, just keep reading it. and then you'll be able to make your decision from there. So she left me to make my own decision. And that was the best thing that she could ever do for me, instead of trying to tell me that I should come over on this side, I should do this, I should do that.
Oh, I love
She let
that.
me make up my own mind. So I began to do more research. I started reading more books, and that was like food for my soul. So when I brought it back to her attention, what it was doing for me, that's when we began to tap into what M. Rain was offering as far as the apprenticeship. And that's when my eyes began to open, doors began to open, and I began to work on a lot of my healing, and which brought me to where I am today. That's where it started.
Thank you. Man, that's beautiful. Um, so men, we have so many questions coming up, and I even have a couple too that I need to get to over here that Lanita posted and sent to me, and they are so beautiful. So TLP says, "What is a man's example of an out of control masculine, and why?"
I like that question.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
yeah. I'm sure we all, all maybe chomping at the bit on that one. For me,
I know. Come on. I knew it. I was like, that.
oh
Okay, go
man.
ahead.
you do what I say when I say it,
Yeah.
and after I say it, no questions asked. It's that whole energy in contrast to the this is what I think is best, but there has to be agreement, right? That's stepping into that leadership role, but that kind of abusive, what they call toxic masculinity is my way or the highway, and you see some of the talking heads on Instagram, on YouTube, and all of that. They kind of take that stance, but that's when I see that, I see men, brothers who are out of balance with their divine feminine within themselves. But yeah, it's that whole toxic. Do what I say when I say it.
Yeah, and
I
I like
love
to
what you
add to
said.
that, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Another one is holding in, like suppressing anger and exploding out of control.
Ooh.
That's that spiritual disconnection. Being an absent father, bailing out on responsibility, not holding yourself accountable for your actions, excuses. List goes on.
I thank y'all for sharing that. Um, if anybody else, Vishu or anybody want to jump in, you all feel welcome. So we have another question. TLP says, how would you advise a woman not versed in this dynamic to create a safe container to encourage the divine feminine within their men or any man? And before y'all answer that question, the only thing that I want to say is to all women, when a man gives you what you're asking in these spaces, do not weaponize it against him. Go ahead, get started. I've seen that happen too many times. And we want to hold such a safe space for our men so that they feel comfortable. Who wants to answer that? How would you advise a
Okay.
woman not versed in this dynamic to create a safe space or container to encourage the divine feminine within their men or any man?
Well, I'm gonna come from experience, and this is the best place I can come from, because dealing with my own personal issues and how I've learned to overcome a lot dealing with my wife. I feel that standing in your truth. Uh, what was his name? James spoke on that too. Standing in your truth. For one, knowing the aspects of divine masculine and divine feminine, being assertive in that. And one thing that I would advise women to understand, and this is something that I've shared with my wife too, we're not going to dance to the same music. When you look for me to lead, you have to allow me to lead. My ears are open, my heart is open, my mind is open to your input. But when you say you want to stand in your divine feminine, you want to be in your divine feminine, there's something that's laid. There's a foundation that we are going to operate off of now. And again, as me as a leader, one thing that I told my wife is I said, okay, I need you to step out the way to take the floor and do what needs to be done. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yes, and one of the things I love that you also have been telling your wife the whole time is though you listen. You don't just say, like James said, my way or the highway. You like sometimes there may come a time that the masculine may have to say, okay, or in this case, maybe I should say the gender male may have to say, I've listened to what we both have to say, and there's a decision. We both may not totally agree, but I'm gonna do what I feel like is best for the family based on the fact that um you're not the type that just don't have she can't have any input, but a decision has to be made, and sometimes one or the other may have to step up and make it. Because when I hear you say that, I also want the audience to know that you've made it plain that your wife's input in everything is very important to you. You're not like above hearing what she has to say, and occasionally there may come a decision where it just has to be made. um so any James, Jason, or Vishu, anybody want to speak on this before we go to the next question?
Of course, not a problem. Uh, A lot of times when these kind of conversations occur, again, it's the parameters around the conversation that needed to be defined. Um, an example, because I don't like the term the term toxic masculinity or toxic femininity. Let's just call it what it is. It's being irresponsible, it's being selfish, it's being hateful, it's being mean, it's being coarse, it's being obtuse. Masculinity is balance, femininity is balance. When we use the term divine is of creation of God, not of man. When we talk about the subject matter in a way to where it's detached from the words in which that we use that we were grown up to talk that have definitions that make sense, and it's based solely in emotion, that's chaos. Emotion changes 24/7, and because of today's society and societal abnormalities that people want to force to be norms is also a bigger issue when it comes to these conversations, when it comes to our group, our culture, and the breakdown of our family and the communication in our few families. I'm gonna always go back to the family unit because the only reason God created us here is to manage and to be abundant. And we co create using his energy or its energy because I don't want to humanize the divine or the creator. I don't want to do that either. When someone is acting vilified, whether they're male or female, they're wrong. You can't attach a masculine or feminine trait to somebody just being wrong. You're wrong. If you don't know how to take proper criticism, if you don't know how to treat somebody in a human balanced sense, like a person wants to be treated, or if you've never experienced what that is or what that looks like, we're in an era to where you can learn everything at the touch of a button, so there's no excuse. A lot of times, these people that are traumatized one way or another and they want to project their trauma on others, they're selfish and they haven't met the right one to take them and help out of this world yet. So they can be an example that this is not how you conduct yourself. Love doesn't deal in selfishness. nor disrespect. And I think the difference between how these terms have been utilized in our culture today has been used with poor examples. I learned through my personal walk and also observing others' relationships around me from a masculine principle. When a man is not respected or is not defined, he does not define the boundaries of his respect in a relationship, he will go through turmoil and hell because he'll try to please and be the knight in shining armor for a woman that don't give a damn about him. When a woman has been abused through her past and she has not had an example of what protection and provision looks like outside of monetary, tangible sight, then she doesn't understand what it means when somebody's telling you you shouldn't put that on, you shouldn't go that place, you shouldn't carry yourself like that. I'm telling you these things and this no matter because I care about you and I don't want you to put yourself in a situation or circumstance to where you're going to be in danger because you want to be selfish and not honor us as your family.
So I think this is good, but I also want to say too that sometimes there are those out there that you don't know what you don't know. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know until you figure out that you really didn't know it. Sometimes it's like further down the road you realize you didn't know. um I think ultimately it could end up being selfishness. It could be a lot of different things, but I don't know that always that women wanted to be or men wanted to be. They just didn't know how to be what they were, just didn't know how to be something different. I know growing up for a long time, um, for myself, because I feel like I've never really been rooted in religion. That was something I always never. So I've always felt like I've been on a spiritual journey. I didn't get caught up in religion, but all along my journey, I always wanted more, and I feel like that want more got me here. But I look back and there was so many things I was missing, and um, I don't know that it was always because I was selfish, but ultimately it probably was a selfish act. But we kind of all do what we feel like we need to do for survival, and that's one thing about when you get into a relationship with the a healthy relationship with yourself, and you can balance your own masculine out and you can balance your own feminine out. Then you bring in a sense of what James talked about, wholeness to the relationship. Then some of these other things we that plague relationships in an unhealthy way does not have to be that way, if that makes sense. Does that make
But see,
sense?
that's the part I was talking about when I'm trying to make it very simple and plain. Selfishness can hide in ignorance.
For
When you
sure.
become of age and you're accountable for self, then that means your first education should to be what are the things about me I need to change and what other elders or around me or friends or peers have brought this to my attention too many times too often that I've ignored. That's selfish because people want to be right and they're comfortable in not changing. Again, and that's how I'm gonna bring it back to the family. The family is the first educator on how we socialize, how we interact, and how we treat ourselves. So if your family is flawed and the people in your family refuse to model things for you in a right balanced way, it's going to be challenging for you coming through maturation to do what you need to do until you fall on your face hard enough or often enough hard to want to change.
That makes sense. But I really want us to be careful so that our audience don't feel judged, because I don't think sometimes families, in some cases, families don't just refuse to change. They just don't know they need to change. Like they don't get the idea that this is just crazy, this is wrong. Sometimes we don't get it till we get it. There's something, and we can have this thing like this knowing, but we still just don't know that we don't know or what we don't know. Um,
Just
and
being
yes, there's times though, because we're trying to figure it out. I know that and one of you. Okay, James, one of y'all, if anybody, Vishu, hold on, let's hear from you. 1 second, Jason. Vishu, let's hear from you too to see, cause see if you all understood. Cause Jason made some great points, and I don't want to even feel make him feel like I didn't hear him. I did, but I also just kind of want to give a perspective. So when people come in listening to us, we want them to understand that this is the aspect too, but then also here's what can happen, here's what they can see, here's what they can expect. So Vishu, um did you want to say something?
Yeah, I think we need to do our work on ourselves before we even start jumping into a relationship.
For sure.
You're not fit for a relationship, and you know you selfish. Don't nobody have to tell you how fucked up
That's
you
what
are.
Jason, I guess, was talking about a little
Now,
bit too.
now
Exactly.
I've been nice, but and these guys have some real great verbal tactics, but I'm just raw as fuck. And when you know you fucked up and you don't have no reason in no motherfucking relationship and you ain't ready, you can't even relate with yourself. What you gonna go in a relationship for? Get
I appreciate
yourself
that share.
together. Get yourself together. And there's not a checklist for your masculinity. There's not a performance quota. That you're not a womb that's wrapped in silence. Stand in your power. Be a motherfucking man and hold space for women that are drawn to you, that are ready to receive you. All that sweet ass bullshit is out the window. You know you fucked up. She knows she fucked up. Now you two fucked up people ain't got no business fucking up together. Hit and go or whatever it is you do. But you have to be a man. If you're not standing in your authentic self-expression, you're not masculine anyway. You can pretend all the fuck you want and you can spit all the sweet shit. But if you're not standing in your power as a man, as long as you don't hurt nobody, you all right. That's the plan on this plane. As long as you ain't hurt nobody, you all right. You be a man. Like that brother said, James, I read some of your stuff. You a badass. Yeah, I read some of your shit. But when you stand in your power as a man, you will attract what's meant for you.
And
That's what will
so,
happen.
and that's true. And so again, I agree with y'all 100%. I just want to understand too, just like you guys, because so James, I'm not gonna ask you how old you are, but last year it's kind of like something hit you and you shifted. So my point is, although Vishu and Jason, y'all making some great points. I am not here to say any of what y'all said was or try to say it wasn't, but I'm just saying also to some of these men, the talk you're having with them now may make them kind of get a shift, but at the same time sometimes they just don't know. It's like they were taught all of this stuff and they think it till they have an aha moment. Wait a minute. This the bullshit. Same thing that Ruben said. Like he got married and it's like started to click after a while. Wait a minute. This ain't the way. Um, but great point. Great point. Do your work. Don't go and get in no relationships. We have a follow-up question, and then I have a couple questions here. Dolores gave us another question, and I want to get into a couple questions here. So I'm gonna brief if y'all can kind of like briefly follow up with this okay, I don't see it anymore. So here's the question I have, and then I'm gonna go back to Dolores. Um, hold on. How does emotional, mental, and physical penetration from men, positive or negative, shape how women receive intimacy? We're gonna start going there towards the bedroom.
Oh shit. Mm. Say that again.
So, okay, how does emotional, mental, and physical penetration from men, positive or negative, shape how women receive intimacy?
Shit. That's kind of just self-explanatory. If it's negative,
Not to
she
every
she
woman, though.
she
Not
gonna be closed. She gonna be tight. That flower ain't gonna bloom. if it's negative, and if he's not present, he's got to be present to penetrate a woman energetically. Physically, yeah, he just go right in
Well,
there and
that's what we're
smash.
really talking about is the energetics more than the
Yeah.
physical. Like,
Well, see, when he's present, you automatically feel that he's holding a secure space for you. You feel safe, and when you start feeling that way, you get soft. You soften up, and you be ready to open. You know. But when he's coming at you hard and not respecting your energy field with his presence, if his presence doesn't ask permission to enter your field, then it's not going to be a good outcome. So, presence is the most powerful thing that a man can bring. You know,
and are you talking about? And are you talking about physically asking this woman, or you talking about the way his whole demeanor, his presence, energetically? If
his
he doesn't
presence
energetically,
energetically. You
yes.
you ever you ever seen somebody walk in the room and you didn't even see that motherfucker? You just, damn, you felt that. You felt, and I'm telling you, when a man is standing in his power, in his presence, when he walk in the room, all the lips in the room, he could have standing off because he's radiating that vibration, and you feel that, and your womanism knows that. Wow, this guy is totally present. He is radiating an energy that I am drawn to. I want to get close. And you open up.
This is beautiful. And I'm a witness to this. So I'm going to share something very, very personal. I shared it with you, Vishu. Um, I was 53 before I had my first vaginal orgasm. I didn't say oral sex, but what I will say is the person who I experienced this with, it was the foreplay, the conversations, all the things before we finally decide to go to the next level. As you talked about his presence, it's like it was like it opened me up. Now I want to explore, and I wasn't afraid to ask for what I wanted, what I needed, whatever. Um, and so I think that this is just an amazing. I mean, I can testify to that. Anybody else want to speak to that? Because like I don't mind sharing because this is what we're doing, women. We're learning, and I'm 63, so there's a lot of women out there my age who I had one woman, she was in her late 40s or mid 40s, late 40s, like I've never had one at all. And so, even though we're talking about the physical, one of the things I told her, then you're going to have to stop performing for love. And I'm talking about in this case for sex. Because if you're
Hmm.
out there performing, you will not get what you need. It just won't happen. You can't even be present. If the man was present, you can't be present. So, anybody else want to respond to this question?
I don't even
Ever?
want you performing when you come in the room. Don't come in the room performing. You come in there and you be open, and once you open like that, your performance will be out of your control. It'll be so delicious.
All right then. Okay. All
100, my
right.
man, 100.
All right. So let's see if nobody wants to answer that. Let's see another question. It says orgasms beyond the bedroom. How does masculine support feminine expansion? And I think we're kind of talking about that a little bit, but if anybody want to go a little bit deeper.
Can I just
Pause.
ask
Yeah.
this? Can we put that question on here? Because I want to make sure I'm understanding it correctly.
Yeah, I
Yes,
agree.
yes. Okay.
If she want to experience orgasm beyond the bedroom and be expanded, call me. All I
Okay.
need is your breath. All I need is for you to breathe. I'll show you orgasms that are legendary in heaven.
Okay, hold on. I want to give and okay, wait one second, y'all. I'm gonna put this question because I want to hear the Thank you, Vishu. I'm gonna put it right here. Uh, orgasms beyond the bedroom. Let me make it real quick. So orgasms beyond the bedroom. And if I misspell something, don't pay me. Um, how do men support women's expansion? Y'all, I know I'm spelling some of these words wrong, but um, okay, I'm gonna post a question here. Goodness. Okay, there. So while y'all thinking about that question.
Oh,
I'm
I'm
ready
ready
to
to
answer.
answer.
Okay, go. Okay, Ruben and then James. Vishu, thank you. And if Jason wants to chime in, come on with it. Okay,
That
Ruben.
man said, call. That man said, call. Yeah. So one thing for me is emotional safety, right? Like I used to think that my wife would get in this mode when she get around me. She gets like tired, ready to go to sleep. She just lay down, she ready to go to sleep, she relax. I used to think like something was wrong with her. But what I've come to know and learn from that is her emotional safety. She's safe around me. She's seen, she's heard. Her body is basically opening up to me. Her nervous system, she feels safe. And I speak into her. I speak with energy. I show up and I take over certain things that she may be exhausted in, and yeah, all the way down to the type of cologne I wear. And I didn't even know it can go that deep. When I leave, it's like she says something walks away. When I'm around her, she gets this feeling of like where she could just let go. And when she's being spiritually fed like that, that's something that just puts me in, that's daddy mode. You know what I'm saying? So I keep that kind of energy coming, because she already know that I'm not here to fix her, but I am here to feel you. You know what I'm saying? So I mirror that energy. So when she's giving me that, I respond to that, and I just keep it coming.
All right. I love that. I love that. James?
So when I say correct, orgasms beyond the bedroom. How do men support women's expansion?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I misspelled some words, but
No,
yeah.
you're good. You're good. You're good. I just want to make sure. So when I think about expansion, I think their growth and evolution, right? And one of the things that my partner did from the very beginning, when we met, she reached out to me to be a guide in her business and helping grow her business. It's just things just kind of, I wasn't looking for it, she wasn't looking for it, but we kind of realized, wait, there's something more going on here. But what I've continued to do is be a coach, right? To be a coach to her, to show her not just about business, but about life in general, things that she can incorporate so that she shows up fully as her. Now she's her, but my role is for her to show up fully as her. And so there may be things I'm pointing out or things I'm saying, hey, try this. And that strengthens, and that at the same time, not only just helps her expand, but strengthens our bond as well. So there's also like one of the things right now, I'm here where she is because she went through something physically recently. And I said, hey, I'm going to get there. I'm going to take care of the food. I'm going to take care of, some deal with the car. I can take care of the car situation. Being that kind of presence where she can just rest and heal and grow and expand as, as the divine feminine, as who she is, right? So that's what comes up for me when I see that specifically.
No, this is good. This is good. There is no right answer. There is no wrong answer. It is like it's all of us speaking from our heart because again,
Oh, never
there's
mind. Okay.
different levels and we all in different places and all of this help will help somebody. Do you know what I'm saying? Somebody will get what they need. So there's no, I want everybody just to be totally. Jason, do you want to jump in on this?
Yeah.
Okay,
Here we go.
thanks.
See, to me, it's well, oh no, I'm not gonna say it like that. What I experienced with my wife, it's about again how I service. The women in the past, they didn't allow me they didn't receive my service or allow me to know them in a way intimately, emotionally enough to be able to connect with them because they were too scarred. And even at those times, at those transition points in my life, I still had things I was working on because I didn't have adequate boundaries. That's why I allowed too much stuff to rock that I shouldn't have had. But now in my marriage with my wife, Tasha, she appreciates and honors me.
Oof, that
And
feels so
she
good.
told me that the way in which that I love her, it's familiar, but it's also supernatural because she allows me to be able to see her beyond the physical and to be open enough and comfortable and safe with me to where she trusts that I'm not leading her nowhere astray. So therefore, even in our issues, in our physical intimacy, in our relationship from time to time, it still gets quickly resolved because how we're able to speak, hear, be present, and be aware.
You you know, that's so beautiful because I just kept putting my hand on my heart because I felt that. Like women out there, our men want us to allow them in. They want us to, they want to feel our hearts. They want to be able to honor us and they want to feel needed in a way. That's what I heard. Like he gets to, and not in a way where he's like he's the armor shot, the knight in shining armor and she's needy. No, but she's, her heart is open. He gets to see what she needs. He feels good in his masculinity when he gets to give her what she needs. So and that's a beautiful thing, even beyond the bed. And when that happens, he expands, she expands, the relationship grows.
Mhm.
Um,
Can I say
so
something?
yeah, sure. You sure can.
I read the question. It said, I might have misunderstood it. Beyond the bedroom, orgasm beyond the bedroom, and how does a man support it? And so my mind flows to the point to where, are you still feeling that vibration of orgasm when you got on a plane and went to Vegas and I was still here? That's what I'm thinking about because that's what a man in his presence and his stillness and who knows how to interact and hold space for a woman. That's what happens with that woman when they're apart. She starts to live an orgasmic life. Shit just balances out. She becomes more healthy. She becomes more confident in herself. When that man is holding space and giving her orgasm beyond the bedroom, that's a whole nother level of being. But it takes a man who knows how to be still, who knows that he doesn't have to perform to take you there. Because in reality, he's no match for a woman sexually. But when he learns how to be still and let her open up and bring forth all the gifts and the treasures it is that a woman has for a man who can hold a space for her to reveal her diamond mind inside.
Woo-wee, okay. All right then. I like this conversation. Okay, so um Dolores had a question. I'm gonna get to her question, and then we may have one more because me and we do have something before y'all before you go, and I don't want to hold people past 3 o'clock. This has just been so good. Okay, Dolores says, in times of need, for example, if you're sick, does it make you feel more in your feminine energy to allow your woman to care for you and control the situation? Or is there a way to still keep that balance? Are there times you find balance may not be necessary to exist, but you still find a way that you may are there times you find balance may not necessarily be able to exist, but you still find a way to? So I think she has two questions in there, but one of them, I guess, is like, does it make you feel less than a man if your woman has to provide and take care of you? But some men,
No, not me.
Not for me.
Not
Treat
at
treat
all.
treat me,
I'm
baby.
I'm a I'm a
Treat
lay
me,
in
baby. Do
here.
your thing.
I'm a lay in here to show you what a great receiver I am.
Oh yeah.
Because
Treat me,
that's
baby.
important too. See,
Correct.
Do your
they lay
thing.
down all these roles for us to play. You can't put us in a box. So we're here
good.
today not to define or to redefine masculinity. We're here to undefine that shit and take it out of the box that they done put it in.
I
That's what
love
I
that
felt like
because
we came here for.
and this is good because I see James doing like this, and I see Ruben and
Yeah.
others because, like you said, you're able to lay back and we show what men can receive. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
I love this. All
And
right,
and 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 one more brief thing. When we keep saying
okay.
balance is not something that's standing still when you start talking masculine and feminine energy. The balance is knowing when to switch, when to go from
Come on
masculine
through.
to feminine based on the situation at hand. You can't just run around here
Yes.
being a tight ass all the time. And there's a difference between masculine and divine masculine.
Hmm.
You know, just you can take any clown can be masculine and be standing in that power, but a divine masculine man is a whole something different. And we've covered around the divinity here today, so there's no need for me to say anything more. These brothers have brought it.
All right, all right, all right. So, um, one more question, and then we're gonna offer our gift to the men. Let me see. Somebody sent me some questions. I'm trying to see which one should we do. Uh, hmm.
I'm
Okay,
looking
Tasha,
at
I'm gonna
that
give you a
question.
chance. Huh?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Nothing. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Then Jason will
No,
lead us into
I
our
was
next one.
looking at I was looking at that question, and it said your woman to care for you and control the situation in your time of need. That's not just sickness. That's sex too. Please
All right.
control it. Please control it. You're supposed to anyway. If a matter
Take
of
the wheel.
fact, if you let me ejaculate too fast, you fail. Help me. Help me
Well,
to
what
help
about you being
you.
responsible for your own ejaculation?
I am. I am. Listen, I'm gonna be using breath
That flip
and
real quick.
everything. But now listen, sometimes when you doing your best shit, she just be too good. You be
Okay.
on the break and you just can't stop. Yeah,
All right.
that was
I
for
forgot to
fun.
say this was a grown up conversation. So if y'all got kids, take
Transparency.
them off. We like, okay.
Uh,
All right.
That man speaking with sound.
Yes, yes. All right. So
all right.
today, so it's like 2:41. We want to do a tribute to each one of you men. Now let me start off and say this. James, I asked around, but I didn't know how to get in touch with your girlfriend or your female or your friend, your lady friend. I didn't know how to get in touch with her so she could do a tribute for you.
Mhm.
But if she wants to now, other words, I was gonna give you a few words. I just didn't know how. But Ruben, your wife, and Jason, your wife. Ruben, of course, Sonia will not come on, but she sent me a good tribute for you. So let me start with you first. And I'm gonna start with you first. So hold on. She sent me this, and then Tasha will speak to her husband, and we'll get to, because I was like, how do you get? I was being nosy. I was asking all kind of questions, but I just didn't know how. Okay, Ruben, this is from your wife. Major shout out to my incredible husband, Ruben. the one and only Red Nova. Thank you for being the steady light in my life, my partner, my peace, my person.
It's
You are
Michelle.
more than just an amazing husband and a wonderful father.
Hold on, it's
You are our safe
I did.
place, our
Is this the one?
shield, our
This is
source
going
of
on.
strength.
I don't know why I think of
You
you.
carry the
This is
weight
the
of this
last drop in
family
this
with
French.
grace and love, protecting us, providing for us, and lifting us even when you're tired. You've been my best friend, my healer, my sounding board, my comforter, and my calm in every storm. Your love has been medicine. Your presence has been a prayer answered. And every day I'm reminded how lucky I am to walk this life with you. You are a true gift, not just to me, not just to our children, but to everyone blessed enough to know you. I love you endlessly, that word, Leslie, baby. Thank you for being exactly who you are. Forever yours with all my heart, forever love. And that is from your wife. That is her tribute to you today. Ruben, you still there? What's wrong? You okay? Hello? Can you hear me? Uh, did he go? Ruben.
Man, this
It's
thing just
like
went blank. I'm mad now.
the what went blank?
Did you hear everything?
No, I
Did you
did
hear it?
not. Part of that
Okay, let me. Okay, I'm gonna
after
do it
the.
again. I'm gonna do it again. I
I'm
want you
sorry,
to hear it.
like
This is
it just
no.
went
This
out.
is your tribute. Okay, so you ready?
After the shield part, it went out.
Okay. I don't know where I am with the shit. Okay, so I'm just gonna start over, and I'll get through it again. It's okay. Everybody's gonna get a chance to give a shout out to their significant other. And Vishu, I got you. So major shout out to my incredible husband, Ruben Shedd, the one and only Red Nova. Thank you for being the steady light in my life, my partner, my peace, my person. You are more than just an amazing husband and a wonderful father. You are our safe place, our shield, our source of strength. You carry the weight of this family with grace and love, protecting us, providing for us, and lifting us up even when you're tired. You've been my best friend, my healer, my sounding board, my comforter, and my calm in every storm. Your love has been medicine. Your presence has been a prayer answered. And every day, I'm reminded how lucky I am to walk this life with you. You are a true gift, not just to me and not just to your children, but to everyone blessed enough to know you. I love you endlessly, baby. Thank you for being exactly who you are. Forever yours with all my heart. XOXO forever love. All right. Did you hear?
Yes, I did. So I got some business to take care of when I get off this live.
All right, then. Don't make no more babies.
You feel what I'm saying?
Uh-huh. Okay. James, what is your beautiful friend's name?
Tanya.
Hey
Tanya
Tanya, do
Prince.
you want to do a tribute to James?
Sure.
I know we putting you on the spot.
Y'all put me on the spot, but I feel like I give him tribute every day. We are in our infancy in this journey, yet it feels like we've had lifetimes together. You provide such a container for me to grow, for me to make mistakes, for me to experiment, and you have the authority I never knew I needed. Every moment that I reflect on what we're creating, it really feels like I won a lottery, you know?
Ooh.
And I don't do boxes with boxes. I don't do check boxes, but if I did, you would check everyone and ones that I didn't even know I needed to label. I feel extremely blessed to have such a mirror. And I couldn't create this any better than we have. Like what you all were just talking to, you're absolutely a mirror, a reflection of my divine masculine. And I'm grateful just for how things have turned out, you know, and that you're here taking care of me and just showing me what a healthy, beautiful relationship could look like. So, I love you.
Woo! Thank you. I know we put you on the spot, but she meant what she said. She didn't care if it was on the spot. It just you could feel it coming from her heart. And so thank you, Tanya. Again, I'm sorry I didn't get in touch with you sooner, but I was trying to hint around, ask people, and I couldn't come out and ask you. You might be like, why you all up in my business? I didn't want none of that. All right.
That's all right.
Okay, Tanya, Tasha, you want to come on and give Jason his tribute?
Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Where my
Hey, Jason,
husband?
you want to come so we can see you, or Tasha, you want to speak so we can see you? Right there.
Right.
He can.
Okay, look at
Can you
y'all.
hear me,
Yeah, I
babe?
see him.
Yeah, I can hear you, baby.
Okay. All right. So I did not write anything down. I did not get a chance to. I was dealing with our daughter. She heard her daddy on the screen, and she she gave me the blues. So I'm saying everything from the heart right now. Okay. You are such a beautiful mirror reflection. You are the literal man of my dreams. And I mean literal because you already know. I am so appreciative of the structure, the grounding that you provide for me as your wife and for our entire family, for me and our babies. I am just I'm just so appreciative of you. We've been married for 4 years, and it's like every day I'm learning something new. I'm on this great adventure with you. It's like we just met, and it's been pretty much 4 to 5 years. I love how hard you not necessarily work hard for us, but how you provide beyond the money, how you provide the emotional presence. I think of you as I think of myself as the ocean. Sometimes I get a little rocky, sometimes I get a little wavy, and you're just there like, "I got you. I'm right here. I'm your anchor." Um, the mantle that you have taken on it's just been a beautiful journey. And, yeah, please come home because I miss you. I wanna hug you, I wanna kiss you, I wanna do all the things. So, I love you, babe.
I love you too.
This is so beautiful. Okay. So, Vishu, I have known you a couple years. I've never met you. I've done body work with you, but you've always been a steady rock. And you've always showed up and showed out and gave me a peek, a look. The more I learn, the more I talk to you, I get a deeper look of what it really meant to be not just a man, but the whole space, that divine masculine. Um, you have this beautiful presence about you, and you have allowed me to see the masculine, and you've allowed me to see the feminine. You've allowed me to see how beautifully you've integrated them, and how it shows up for me. I was sexually abused, and even though I don't talk about it a lot now because it's like talking about the weather, I don't really get offended or get whatever about it. It's just what happened. And often I feel like because it happened, it also was like a stepping stone that kind of like catapulted me into something else. But to say that I've had some very I've had some hard times with relationships with men, and I've always felt safe with you. Always felt safe. And I just want you to know that I admire you, that I appreciate you, that I thank you for doing the work that you do, the way you show up for the women around you. And not once, I don't think I've asked you, would you support me in something, and you have not. You always continued in so many ways, even though I haven't met you, but you keep saying yes. And I just appreciate you. I just want you to know I tried to find the same thing about you if you had a woman friend, but I tried. I was trying to, but I am grateful that I get the chance to honor who you are as a man, who you are as the work that you've done. And I really appreciate you. I just want you to know that.
Thank you. Thank you. That's very touching. Uh, I'm I'm every I'm every woman's mount that I meet, every woman that I encounter. I'm gonna hold space for her, and I'm not trying to sleep with her. I'm gonna treat her like the divine being that she is, whether she knows it or not. And that's just the way it is. And I don't be in relationships. There wouldn't be anybody for you to call and speak up on my behalf. I'm not as fortunate as these guys. My path is a loner's path, but I'm here for all the women of the world. And I'll never say no to any of them that's coming to me with integrity and being themselves. I will honor that. That's my job. The mother has drafted me, and I'm going to do it. And thank you for existing. And thank all of you for existing. And I really appreciate you, brothers, showing up and saying something that ring bells in my head, too. For sure. To each one, teach one. That's what we do.
Yes. So I'm going to end the show by saying, well, before I end the show by saying what I'm going to say, everybody got 1 minute if you want to tell who you are and what you do so somebody can know where to find you. James, we can start with you.
I first want to just thank all these kings up here in their perspective and what they shared and their queens and what they've shared about them. And I gotta say this first. Bishop is my guy. Like I don't know him, but just King, you are my guy now. Like I gotta find some way to connect with you, brother. But having said that, I'm James the Ascension Coach. Again, just help elevate people's consciousness to see life, to see themselves from a much higher perspective. And I'll leave it at that.
Oh, I think that was me. My computer did it. Okay, thank you. I thought for a minute I was going jinky. Ruben, you want to say where you can be found and what you do briefly?
Yes. First and foremost, thank you for allowing me to even be on this, Tressa. Thank you for you and everyone else that has worked to put this thing together for us to come on here and share our experience with you guys. Appreciate all the kings, the guys that's on here holding it down. I'm taking notes too, so I was in the learning chair myself. So I appreciate you fellas too. You guys can find me Blue Apothecary on Facebook. You can find me on Mystic Love Lounge. You can find me on my regular personal page, Red Nova Graphics. I mean, I'm all over the place. And I just want to share this last message before I get off of here. I have to get out of here. To everyone in the room, especially our divine feminine ladies out here that are that want to stop looking, they want to stop searching. I just want to let you know this: we see you, not just the you that the world applauds, but the you that's tired of being strong, the you that wants to soften but doesn't always feel safe doing it, the you that has led protect, fix, and survive, when all you really wanted was to be held, heard, and honored. Just want to let you know that we love y'all. We're out here. We're for you, and we honor you. I had to type that up because I didn't want to mess that up, but I just wanted to share that with y'all
No,
and
and I
give
appreciate
gratitude.
that. Oh my God. We love you. I know I do. So his wife is like my sister. Tasha's wife, Jason's wife is my little sister. So it's like I love them. So last minute and you said thank you. So I appreciate you saying thank you. You have no idea. I love your wisdom. Every time I see it, I'm like, okay, yes, the world needs you. Okay, before I give the last little thing I was gonna say, Jason, you want to say, oh, this you want to tell us where you can be reached?
Yeah, you can reach me on Facebook Messenger, and if I pass or meant to cross, it will. And I'm just like that. I see who I'm supposed to. So if we're meant to meet each other, it'll happen. But you can inbox me about that orgasm outside of the bedroom, and I'll talk you right through it. And sometimes I don't even have to say nothing. We can just let me hear you breathe, and it's gonna happen. I
All
promise you.
right then. And Jason, do you want to say where you can be reached?
Yeah, sure. I can be reached on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Facebook, it's Jason Orox Jones. On Instagram, it is the Creator's Expression, and yeah, YouTube
Okay,
is the
thank
same thing, the Creator's
you.
Expression.
So, okay, let me give you. So, as we close, may we carry forward the orgasm as a metaphor, pleasure, but for truth, wholeness, and release. Let us honor the men who show up in as our strength and who show up in their strength, vulnerability, and love, not as saviors, but as a sacred mirror. The year of the orgasm is not just about climax, it's about rising together. I also want to let the ladies know that's listening. The Year of the Orgasm is going to be having a summit coming up in November. There will be 6 powerful women speaking. I'll be getting more of that out. But I want to say thanks to everyone that showed up. Again, I am Tressa with Radical Transformation with T, and I'm the founder and creator of Sensually Empowered Woman and Transformative Conversations and Solutions. Until next time, y'all stay safe and have a beautiful day.
Oh.